Good morning, everybody. This is Jamie Hancock, and this is another episode of No Rocket Ships. Rocket Ships is changing sort of over the course of the summer as we get ready for Let's Go Shopping. I am delighted to have shopping people, shop people, store people with me, introducing two people from Astrid Miyu. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves. Lucy, Connie, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Lucy. So I work as our head of retail for Astrid Miyu across our UK and EU stores. So yes, very excited to talk all things root.
And we have met before when you were at All Saints, so
Yes,
but you don't
indeed.
will remember it. And Connie?
Yeah, so I'm Connie. I'm currently a senior store manager for Astrid Miyu, and I run out of our Covent Garden branch in Neil Street.
And again, we've met before because I persuaded
Yes,
you to do something with Endless Aisle for New Store a couple of years ago.
absolutely.
Stores. So in the UK, physical retail is still 76% of the overall market. I spent 20 years trying to get it to be less, working e-com. But it's not. It's interesting, isn't it? It hasn't really sort of made that. I mean, it's made big dents, right? But you're running these things. I suppose. Give me an idea about why are shops so popular? Because you're in there talking to customers all the time, and then maybe also let's talk about service and what makes it. Where does good retail come from? Physical retail. Yeah, somebody else or something. And interrupt each other. I don't mind.
I mean, for me, I think there's this illusion that people don't want to shop in real life anymore, especially after pandemic and kind of how that changed the landscape, that people don't want to have to leave the comfort of their own home to shop, but sort of seeing it day in, day out, that's just not the case. Sort of high street retail, frontline retail is still very much, I think, leading the kind of way people shop. And more often than not, people will see something online, but want to come in and physically touch it or see it before investing in it. And I think that's really kind of showing how people are changing the way they want to spend their money or how they want to purchase a product or a service.
And I was going to say, I guess, I couldn't agree more. I think that's a really common misconception, is that people think, oh yeah, people are shopping online, they're not coming into stores. I think post-pandemic, you're absolutely right. Even more so, people are like craving that kind of like interaction. And it's something that I actually think we do so well. Like, we really want to create that like meaningful human connection at every touch point. And I guess someone walking into our stores, whether they purchase or not, they leave feeling that bit better because of the interaction they've had with one of our team or our product or one of the service. And I think for us, it's about doing something slightly different. We want this to be like a movement, a revolution. We want this to be something different and not just what you see kind of everywhere else on the high street. We very much got our own identity. And it's one of the things I absolutely love about the brand, is that it is innovative and it's doing something a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, as someone that is all about long live the stores, I'm quite pleased that, people are still absolutely coming in their crowds to come and visit us.
And you do. I mean, I walk, because I'm planning this event. I've walked past the Covent Garden store a number of times. It would have felt a bit slightly weird if I'd have come in, actually, Connie. I felt.
Come say hello.
But that would be odd. But I walk around Covent Garden, so it's always packed, obviously. I suppose what is it that makes, in terms of the sort of service element of a brand like yours, what do you guys think it looks like? What does great service make it look? And how do you execute it? Because you're head of retail, you're running a store. How do you execute it and make it feel special? What is it?
Should I go first, Lucy?
I mean, I guess for me, look, brands talk all the time about like values, being values led. And I think in a lot of cases, that's the intention, but people don't live and breathe it. And I can honestly say, I remember even when I joined A&M, I was like, right, everyone's been amazing. The interview process has been so nice. Everyone's really warm and really engaging. And I started and I was like, so when does that end? When does it get to the point where everyone just slips into normal and that almost like best behavior in that honeymoon period? And as cliche as it sounds, that hasn't changed, which I think is really unusual. And I think we started looking at a bit of we don't call it service, I guess we call it experience, but we wanted to do something different. And something that we've, worked on with our teams is an idea of hosting from the heart. And it's not about a service model. It's about a value. It's about a feeling. It's about how you show up kind of every day. And that for me is how we keep the business kind of like alive and authentic and real, because it's about showing up as the best version of yourself as opposed to kind of following a bit of a more traditional scripted kind of retail model. But I think that's what gives us the edge. I don't know what you think, Connie.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. Like, my first interview was 30 minutes just to talk about who I was as a person. And that was ultimately what was so different about joining this brand was, yes, experience was important, but it wasn't necessarily the be all and end all. And I walked away from that first interview thinking, I really want that job. I can't put my finger on exactly what it is, but I really, really want that job. And I mean, I've been in the brand 2.5 years now and getting more and more into how we operate in that way. And yeah, the values that we live by it's just so prominent in everything that we do. Service, that experience that comes into as a person comes into the store is like the be all and end all of what we do, whether they shop with us or not. And I think that, you know, what we offer, what we sell is a luxury item. It's not a necessity. So to have somebody that wants to come in and spend that time with us, it's about how we like make it special for them. It's the experience, not necessarily the product. It's how they feel when they're in store with us.
I mean, we're so lucky as well. Sorry to
No, no,
interrupt
go,
you.
go.
Like, I was just going to say, like, the fact that we've got these services that we offer that 9 times out of 10 are like milestones for people. Like, it's a really nice moment. They're almost like choosing to share that with us. And that's a really unique proposition that you don't get anywhere else. You know, you can come in and I don't know, you're getting married or you want to celebrate your divorce or you want to celebrate, you know, a new member of the family, whatever that looks like. We've got a moment to like tap into that and have a conversation with someone and make that feel really special. And, you know, I don't know many other brands that can really capture that in the way that we do. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, and that's my focus with my team every day is just like make that person feel good in whatever way they are coming in for whatever reason they're coming in for. Why wouldn't you want to just make their day a little bit brighter?
And do you find if I'm a customer and I'm walking in with an intention or with I know you guys do bookings, right? So if I'm coming with an intention to have a piercing or you do that piercing and tattoos, right? So if I'm coming in with that intention and you know I'm coming in with that intention, do I feel is the experience different than if I'm just wandering in?
No, I wouldn't say so. It's that, you know, one thing we've talked about a lot recently is that ethos of community and building community, whether you know about us or not, whether you've, you know, been in store with us before or you haven't, it's building that experience in store that builds that community at the same time. So we want everybody to feel welcome. Like that's the ultimate goal. Yeah, whatever the reason is you're coming into store or whether you've been in to see us before, it's making that I was thinking a lot about this morning, like making that feeling of feeling known. I think that's really underrated. You know, you walk into your favorite local cafe and they know your name. Like it feels nice, doesn't it? And I think if you walk into one of our stores, especially as big as we are now, we have a lot of branches, have a lot of teams. For somebody to walk in and for us to remember them or remember what they bought the last time or remember a piercer, remember the last piercing that they had, like that's a connection you don't get everywhere in retail. And that's the point. Like that's what we're working towards.
And it is very difficult in retail, isn't it? Because you've got teams who might not see each other for a long, long time. You know, it's very difficult to create a sense of purpose within a business an organization where, you know, you've got stores in the UK, US, all over the place. As you say, you've got more stores. Trying to make everybody feel as if they're part of something is incredibly difficult to do, I think. I mean, I'm aware not many. I know Casey, who runs Lush retail at Lush very well, and they have something sort of quite similar, I think, but they do it very differently, I think, to you. How do you feel? How do you make the teams feel as if they're part of something?
I mean, I think there's a few things that we do. I think, you know, the fact that a lot of our teams like live and breathe this brand. We're at an advantage that they love what they sell. So actually that in itself is great, you know, because they're super connected. A lot of them wear, so we do permanent jewelry as well. A lot of them are wearing our product day to day because they love it. I think the big thing for us, and actually what's, I guess, probably unique about what we do is actually retail and our people experience teams, we sit under the same roof, which means that every decision we make is all about team, people, customer. So it's not like traditional retail that sits kind of aside from that. So every decision we make is about team and it's about people and it's about our community out there, which is amazing and a really fresh approach to what a lot of other businesses do. So everything, we do a lot around, we have these like learning pathways that the team can do. We actually launched one recently about Gem. So it was all about like getting the team engaged. We did a little incentive about who could complete it the quickest. But the idea is they love the learning and they love, as we evolve and grow and we're innovating all of the time, like they feel a part of that journey with us, which I think is really important. And, making sure that, we do focus groups, we get their feedback, we do similar to other brands, we do sort of like a flourishing survey where we get the feedback from the teams and we really like use that to really form like, what we do moving forward and review that regularly. Because again, I think having a voice and a platform for them to share their feedback, share their thoughts is super important and really helps shape, moving
Mhm.
forward. Is
We
there
talk a
anything,
lot.
like anything else you think?
No, I was going to say that we obviously talk a lot about ownership and presence, like how we show up, and at all levels of our teams, like encouraging that ownership. That I remember when I first joined, I was told like treat it as if it is your name above the front door, and that's exactly kind of how I led and how I then encouraged my teams to engage with each shift that they came in on or come in on. But yeah, I think the values part of it and the fact that I love when I interview somebody and they're like, want to show me all the jewelry that they've already purchased. Like they're a customer. They are part of our community already and they love it so much that they're like, I want to work in here. Like there's not many roles or brands or businesses, I think, that like that community that you're kind of presenting to then also wants to be on the other side of it as well. There's something kind of rare about it, I would say.
I was going to say, Connie, I'm the worst. I shop every single store visit I do, Jamie. I buy something.
No,
It's like, I'm like
you can't say no.
sucker. It's a disaster. It's still even
I'm the
now.
exact same. I go into a different store to visit and I see something. I'm like, oh, I don't have that in my store. It's exclusive to that location. I'm like, I need that now.
Interesting. So I obviously Astrid Miyu started as an online business and then stores followed. I was talking to, I won't name them now because I'm about to bitch about them, but I was talking to a large furniture business a few weeks ago, and I know the online team there very well, and I know the head of stores there very well. And you can always just sort of feel in talking to people that there's a sort of slight disconnect or slight wall or like a something that's not they sort of compete. I don't know. It feels like they're not joined in the way that they maybe it could be. Should be is not maybe not the answer, right? Maybe they've been set up to compete on purpose. I suppose give us a sense of what you feel the relationship is and maybe should be or shouldn't be between the store parts of the business and online, because it's a blurry set of lines, isn't it, right? And we all know that. And you must see customers presenting with all sorts of different versions of that. I don't know. Talk to us about how, maybe from a customer lens and your lens first, and then maybe if you want to bitch about the politics, you could do that. You won't do that, but yeah, talk to me about that.
I think that disconnect is really common. That I think if you ask store teams in most brands, they feel like there's that disconnect between what they're doing front of house and then what's sometimes happening in the background, either e-com or office wise. And I think that one thing that I noticed that was really different when I joined Astrid was that barrier is consistently demolished. Like it doesn't. We do our best to not let it exist. Like the e-com teams and all of our support office teams, to be honest, are so accessible, and anything that we need or we pivot on if something's not working. Our customer comes in and makes us aware of something. We can connect immediately and ensure that that we're both sort of saying the same thing, basically, that we're in tune. And I think that's really important, that connection between what we're doing in store and what's happening online is so cohesive. I definitely think that's kind of what we do differently, or what we try to do.
And I guess it's not always easy. I think
Yes.
it takes a lot of, I guess, work to make sure that, because I guess, yes, absolutely. We work in partnership. And I think what is different for us is ultimately e-com can't do a piercing. It can't weld a bracelet. It can't complete a tattoo. But ultimately, we're always going to have, I guess, the advantage of we have a reason to come into our stores, like ultimately. But what I would say is that e-com support us so much in terms of driving those bookings, those pre-booked appointments, the awareness of the services that we offer. So there's kind of a synergy between the two. And also, our stores are where we're introducing ourselves into new markets. That's where we're meeting new customers that might have never shopped with us before. So actually, we almost need each other. And I think there will always bit of natural competition between bricks and mortar stores and e-com thing naturally. I'm very competitive.
Really? See, I hadn't learned.
You can't tell.
No, couldn't tell at all.
The reality is, like, we need each other and one couldn't function without the other. Even, we created this ear curation tool, which, if you're not into piercings, Jamie, it probably has no relevance to you whatsoever. But, you can essentially go online, you can pick a shape of an ear, you can put where you've got your piercings, and you can style your ear on our website to pick out the stack that you want. Like, how amazing is that? And you can buy that online, or you can bring that picture in and say to Connie, I am obsessed with this look. I want to create this. Can actually fit these for me as well. Like, it works in complete partnership. But
Yeah.
maybe those customers that don't have a store, actually, they can almost create that same journey and then make that purchase online. So, yeah, I think we can't do one without the other. The returning customers that we see online, that community is so strong, and they do come and see us, but we almost help each other. Obviously, long live the stores.
But yeah, there's always a winner, right, Lucy?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, it's interesting. I was talking to a guy from Tapestry in the States a couple of weeks ago. They obviously own Coach and Stuart Wiseman and something else, Kate Spade, can't remember, one of them. And he was saying, so he runs digital, and he was saying he's in the stores, all the time. And he said that nowadays in the US, all of the store associates arrive with like a list of stuff they want. And it was interesting to see. He said he gave me a really simple example, which was, he said when he was somewhere the other week, the associates are saying every single woman who comes into a Coach store, the Coach outlet store, comes in with a picture of a bag that they've screenshotted off the website, and then they go and they show the staff the picture, and then they're like, I don't know, it's 5,000 products. I don't know whether we've got it or not. He said, and they were like, could you just move the SKU number so that we could in that screenshot we could see it? I was like, okay, yeah, we'll do that. So, and I said to him, out of all of the things that you will do, AI, whatever, lovely, great, all e-commerce stuff, and what's the priority? And he said, I should do that because it's free. The business would sack me if I didn't just do that, because the store, that's free money, right? Where they can, if you can mean that you say, no, I can't help you, but I've got a selection of other things, or yes, I can find the bag and then not spend 20 minutes trying to, all of that works.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're just like that.
As I'm sure you can imagine, we get loads of feedback like that from our store teams, all the time, and they are ultimately at the forefront, and they're seeing things that we might not see or we might overlook. And I think, as Connie said, we've got the ability to kind of make contact with anyone in the business, so it's really easy to get that kind of information across. But to your point, it's then about us being able to deliver on that and make that happen. But I guess the nice thing is we are agile, and we're at a size where able to make those changes, which, we're really lucky to be able to do. And we want to make sure we don't lose that.
And I was going to say, how many stores? Sorry, look, Connie.
So what are we at now? 33? I always want to say 33
yeah,
stores.
without US.
Yeah, there's quite a few of us. But I think it's the ability to pivot so quickly. Like when we put something into place and it's maybe not quite landed the way that we'd hoped, that ability to pivot really quickly based on what the stores are feeding back. And that's something I hadn't experienced before. Like sometimes it'd be like, no, you got to give it a little bit longer, let it settle. And it's actually, no, if something's not working, like let's delve into why and let's pivot.
Let me ask you very quickly before we move on about mystery shopping. How do you feel about, do you mystery shop yourselves, and how do you feel about it?
Controversial. And we have started doing this. We call it a cosmic shop. And I guess what we're finding is, so there's a couple of elements. We have a post-purchase survey, which customers complete once they've made a payment. But what we were finding is typically these are all great because they've made a purchase, they're happy. So it's probably, as much as I'd love to take all the, cred for that and be like, oh yeah, we're sat at 96%, that's amazing. It's probably not giving us what we need in terms of like evolving and moving forward. So we've started and we're trialing at the moment cosmic shops to, I guess, give us a better read on what our customers are seeing. But I guess for us, this isn't about, because we don't have a scripted service model, that's not how we operate. It's about the feeling that you have when you go into store. What's great is it gives us a really kind of broad amount of feedback because it's not structured into one area. It's not a tick box. So actually, it sparks a great conversation. So yeah, we don't do it in, I guess, what I would say in other brands I've worked with, the most traditional sense. It's not your mystery shop reports come through, you've scored X amount of percent, right, we need to follow up with that stylist and give them what for. It's about actually, okay, what are the common themes that we're seeing out here? You know, where do we see the opportunity and what are the roadblocks to kind of make sure that our teams can overcome this in the future? So it's less about the individual and more about, I guess, like the broader business.
It's yeah, like you say, it's not hunt down that one person or maybe that one thing that we did wrong. It's that overview of, and there's no such thing as bad criticism, I guess. Like, it's all constructive at the end of the day. So, if we're not achieving what it is we're setting out to achieve, like me as a manager, I want to know that. I want to know where we're maybe dropping the ball, and then I can bring that back to my team in a constructive way and say, hey, these are the touch points we're aiming for, and this is maybe where we just missed the mark slightly. But what can we do to make it better?
And this is not an opportunity to be really nice about Connie, by the way, but I was talking to my neighbor, used to be the IT director of Boots, and he said that at one point they got the 10 managers from the 10 highest performing boot stores and transferred them to the 10 lowest performing boot stores and swapped. So they swapped them. And he said within a month, it was perfectly obvious that the poor performing stores were getting a lot better and the really strong stores were starting to decline. Can you see that? Is leadership in store kind of just vital?
From my perspective,
Lucy, you probably can't answer that question, actually. You're not allowed.
I'm keeping quiet. Connie, over to you.
I mean, yeah, I do think that who you have at the head of your store and how they feel about their connection to the brand, to their role, to their team, like all of that impacts how a store is going to function on a day-to-day basis. Like, I think, especially a lot of our teams aren't huge. We're not working on like sort of 30 plus team members. Like, we are quite tight units. And I think if that manager isn't sort of showing up with the right intentions, the right presence, the right motivations, and sort of ultimately that connection to their team, that will filter through to the customer experience. So, I'm really proud to say, like, I love what I do and I love getting to show up every day. And like I say, my main goal is if I get to make somebody's day better, why wouldn't I enjoy kind of coming to work? So I very much try and feed that ethos like to my team. Like, I want you to enjoy being here and love what we do. And if something's not quite right at the moment, like, let's talk about it, because ultimately I want you to feel good. I want my customers to feel good. And ultimately all of us enjoy being in this building. So yeah, I think it is really important.
I was going to say the
I was
pinnacle.
joking, Lucy, sorry.
No. I was just going to say, like, when Connie joined Astrid and me, she's the perfect example of, she went into a store that had been really tough. And actually, Connie was able to regroup. It wasn't easy. And I'm sure Connie will tell you many a story about that journey. But, through that perseverance, through really embedding, the values, through culture, you can feel it when you walk into our stores. And, Connie transformed that store, and that literally came down to her leadership and, the day to day, what she's doing, what she's showing up doing, how she's leading by example. That transformation took time, but she made it happen because she was absolutely the right leader and will continue, to do that in the stores in the future, I'm sure.
Thank you.
You see, look, you
You're
see,
welcome.
that's why I was going to ban you. Well, I can
I
tell
didn't
you what's
ask him
really,
to do that. So
but what's interesting about it, right? And I have to say, I was going back to the Endless Aisle event that we ran in New York, actually. After we did that, in those line manager interviews with you, Connie, in London, we did some in New York. And in fact, your colleague
Is it Katie?
Katie did it. I can't forget. There's Astrid Miyu all over my life now. We had, but it was 3 kind of quite grown up female retail. Everybody was in store, right? There was a lady it was like the super sales lady from, I can't remember the brand now. Anyway, but what was really interesting about it, I've spent lots of my time in tech, and people in tech aren't that happy. You get paid lots of money. There's a boatload of pressure. They don't really love their job. I had yet to meet somebody who's got a retail career who isn't really, really passionate about it, as I think you both have evidence today. So what is it?
I think you have to love it to do
You
it.
have to love it.
You wouldn't do it if you didn't.
I agree.
It pushes you in a way that like is weirdly addictive, I guess, even on the bad days or the stressful days or the chaotic days. Like, there's something about it that, I mean, I think we've spoken about this multiple times. So you just kind of like love it's like the thrill of it, I guess, in a way, and just not when people guess it's like a cliche answer in an interview, like, you never know what every day is different. You never know what's going. That is obviously the reality of retail, and good or bad, that is why I love it, because it keeps me on my toes, and all aspects of it. That's not just being in front of a customer. It's obviously team. It's all of it, all the aspects of it. Even in the stressful moments, like, you can get a little bit of a buzz out of it, I guess.
That is recorded, Connie, just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can't go back on
signed
that.
up now.
But
Yeah.
it is interesting, isn't it? I suppose you don't know what's going to walk in the door. So there's always a moment, or even on a quiet, crappy, whatever, rainy, when Tuesday or whatever, there may be the days that I assume are less fun. Whereas, days that are really big must fly. I don't know. Maybe it's difficult.
It's getting to, like, the good or the bad. Like, I've had conversations in store where somebody's maybe having, like, an absolutely shocking day, and sometimes obviously it gets taken out on you potentially, but sometimes it's just they're having a really rough time and they've come in to try and make themselves feel better, and we get to play a part in that. And
Yeah.
I've worked in hospitality, I've worked in retail. There's always that kind of underlying aspect of sending somebody away feeling better than maybe potentially how they walked in. So yeah, we get to share in some people's highest of highs, but there's also been interactions I've had that have, like, left a mark in a different way. But like, it's just a human connection that you don't get, I guess, in potentially other industry, which just keeps us coming back for more, I think.
And those are the memorable moments, right? Everything else is blah, isn't it?
Oh,
I still remember when I was in a car park in Cornwall and a woman walked over to my wife and gave her the dog flinger that she'd obviously given up. Her dogs maybe had passed away. And my wife and I can both remember the moment where this woman kind of pressed it into my wife's hand, burst into tears. We all sort of slightly burst into tears and we all walked up. And it's like nobody said anything. And it lasted 2 seconds.
wow.
But 15 years later, it's still imprinted on my mind because it was such a sort of raw, emotional moment. And you guys get to see those sorts of things more often than maybe, it might be you think you're going to.
I think what we do is very, like, the jewelry side of things. I mean, I love jewelry because it's a sentimental thing to me and my family. If jewelry is purchased, like, I just turned 30 last week. My parents bought me a necklace. Like, that's how we mark sort of milestones and stuff with jewelry. And I think a lot of people relate to jewelry in a similar way. But then obviously the experiences that we offer in store as well, it is normally marking an occasion. It is a memory. It's something that they will think about, the reason why they came in, when they think about what it is that they had done, whether it's piercing, tattoos obviously as well have a massive sentimental aspect. And the permanent jewelry is a big thing that people do together, and almost like that connection that pulls them together kind of thing. They get the bracelets done together.
How many people come in and ask for it to be taken off?
It's a good
No.
question.
No,
I don't think I've
wouldn't-
ever had that one.
I,
No?
I think the only time I've ever had that is where a lady had a permanent bracelet and she had an initial for an ex-boyfriend and she wanted the initial taken off.
I think that's fair.
But she
That
replaced
doesn't
it with
count.
something else. She wanted something else
Yeah.
instead. But it's that we got to then, make her feel lighter about something that maybe was obviously a little bit sad for whatever reason. And we got to then connect with her and change the way she was feeling about something.
That's the nice thing, isn't it? It's like the service is almost like, we talk so much in retail or traditional retail about dwell time, how long people are in store. Our services keep people in store, but it means that almost like the conversation is natural. You're not sat there trying to kill time, trying to sell something. You're able to open this really lovely dialogue about whatever direction that customer wants to talk about. It might be why they're there. It might be actually what's been going on in their week, but it just gives them a moment of just like calm, I think, which is, really unique.
Yeah.
Yes, very true. Right. We're over time, but that's been fantastic, right? Both of you, that was just exactly what I was interested in hearing and starting to talk more about. So for those of you who listen, I'm assured that we're going to be in Astrid Miyu, I think in the Carnaby store on the 22nd and 24th of September when we do Let's Go Shopping. And you can see these wonderful people deliver their immersive retail experience to customers live, or maybe
Alive.
right. Lucy, Connie, thank you so much. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.